We do want to begin this hour with President Biden's $2 trillion infrastructure bill and the hurdles that it could face in Congress. And we know there are many of them, especially the Republican Party. Joining me now, Democratic Congressman Steve Cohen of Tennessee. He's also a member of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee and the Judiciary Committee. Thanks for joining us on this, Congressman. Really appreciate it. I bring up kind of these hurdles, right, going forward with this $2 trillion infrastructure plan. And we talked about it all last hour. These hurdles being really bipartisan support, and whether or not the president is going to have to do budget reconciliation to actually get this major plan passed. So what are the behind the scenes, if you can let me in on them, conversations happening with your colleagues right now to try and make this happen?
Well, it'd be nice, and the American public would like to see us work together. But the Republicans don't want to work with Democrats on just about any issue. We have different perspectives on how the nation should operate, what should occur. Yesterday, I was reviewing Mitch McConnell smiling and laughing in a clip with Sean Hannity saying he's responsible for Barack Obama not getting through any nominees in the last 15 months of his administration, any judge nominees, district court, let alone Merrick Garland. They didn't work with Barack Obama, and they're not going to work with Joe Biden. They want to keep the taxes that were taken off of the rich by Donald Trump and the tax scam, and that's the best way to fund this package, and so they won't go along with it. So it'll be budget reconciliation. The Democrats will do as we did with the rescue bill, which the American public has embraced, and they will embrace this bill too because they know we need infrastructure, and then we need to catch up, and we need 21st century infrastructure, as Secretary Pete has said. Definitions have changed. It's not just roads and bridges anymore. It's so much more. And we need to invest in things like senior living and care. And we need to invest in broadband. And we need to see that this is a 21st century program. So I think, we couldn't even get together, all of us, on honoring our Capitol policeman with the gold medal that protected us on January the 6th. And in that matter, it was so sad that we saw the death of a Capitol policeman, and he was a Capitol policeman I knew because that's my entry to the Capitol from my conduct. And it's just so sad that he was killed and lost in action. I put out my deepest condolences to his family and to his fellow Capitol policemen.
Yeah, it certainly has been a devastating couple of days in Washington for many Americans that watched what took place at the Capitol. But from what I'm hearing from you, Congressman, is that you seem to think that budget reconciliation is the only way forward, despite the fact that the president has said he is open to negotiation. And the only thing that we as Americans have to go off of when it comes to this administration and how Republicans negotiate with them is what happened with the relief funding when you had a group of Republican senators come forward with a plan that was a third of the size of what the president was proposing, which was not even entertained. And we knew it was because of the fact that it didn't even get close to what Democrats wanted. So you see no room here, it seems, for negotiation or compromise from the Republican side.
There's a total distance between the Republicans in Congress and the Democrats in Congress. There's not that much distance between the Democrats in Congress and, of course, President Biden and the Republican voter. The majority of Republicans are in favor of the rescue bill, and they will be in favor of this infrastructure bill, too, despite the fact that the Republican leadership will try to distort it in the perspective of the American public and talk about job creators and talk about all these kind of things, small business. The fact is small business needs infrastructure. Seniors need help with care and structures. People in rural and urban areas need better broadband. We need our airports modernized, our ports. We used to be first in the world. We're about 17th or 18th in infrastructure. So many places we've fallen behind because nothing took place in the last 4 years. And McConnell stopped activity by Barack Obama and our House Transportation Committee from becoming law during Barack Obama's term. We're behind. We're falling behind China. We're falling behind so many countries in the world, and it's time to catch up. And Joe Biden's going to see to it with the Democratic Congress that we do catch up.
Are you confident you're going to have the support of all Democrats needed for budget reconciliation to get it passed?
Well, I can't speak for the Senate. They're on a very, it's 50 votes. They need everybody. But I think they'll all come together because, as I say, this is going to be popular with Republicans as well as Democrats. And I think the folks who are kind of the more moderates over there will know that, and they will support it.
I want to talk about voting rights while I have you. You've been pretty outspoken against the laws in Georgia. You called for Delta to take steps to move away from their hub in Atlanta towards one in Memphis, possibly. I was speaking to Jennifer Rubin, who wrote an op-ed on this as well, and that corporations actually need to act to back up the statements that they have made. Do you feel like they have the intention to do so, and what type of pressure do you think needs to be put on these corporations to act?
Well, the corporations do need to act. Coca-Cola, CNN, Delta are Atlanta corporations. They're international corporations, but they're Atlanta. They can and should put on pressure. What this bill was, we can't give out food and drink, and the Republican legislators can take over the election apparatus. It's just anathema to America as we know it, and we saw in the 2020 election that was the most honest, transparent, and free of conflict, free of any interference election in our history, and that was a bipartisan position. So, yeah, I think they need to take action. They need to consider moving some of their headquarters and some of their operations away from Atlanta. I'd welcome Delta to come back to Memphis. We used to be a hub, and people like coming to Memphis as a mini hub. They're not going to totally leave Maynard Jackson Airport, but Maynard Jackson Airport it's a horror show to have to go through that airport. It's gigantic, and it's just stacked up. They need to have the public's convenience more in mind, and Memphis is a good place. And we'd welcome any other corporation that wants to come here, too. I just hope our legislature doesn't do as bad as Georgia's, though, and that's entirely possible.
All right, Democratic Congressman Steve Cohen of Tennessee, thank you, Congressman. Appreciate you talking to us this afternoon. Happy Easter.
Nice to be with you. And don't forget, this is the anniversary of Dr. King's assassination. We should never forget Dr. King and his good works and mission on earth.
Thank you for that.